What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. KG is back. Match preview time. Leeds United versus Crystal Palace, the second of a huge week for Leeds United. Great chance for us to pick up 6 points overall. It is possible. It's going to be a tough game, but it's definitely possible. How you feel about it? Well, me myself. Oh dear. Oh dear. There you go. Snafus of live streaming. The video is on the background. Please hit a like on the video. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Drop your comments below, and we'll talk about score predictions and everything else. Andy's straight off the bat here about Jack Harrison. I'm going to do that in a separate video because Jack Harrison is somebody who people change their mind like the weather. So I want to do that in a separate video. And obviously, once it's officially signed, it does look like the deal's going to be done in the next 24 hours as of this video. So, it looks like Jack is here to stay. And I want to get that in a separate one. So we'll talk about the new deal in a whole different video. So tune in for that one, hit the notification bell, and we'll go through that all together. Okay, some talk here about the board here. Should we be showing the board some love for appointing Grazia? And Karen also saying board got have your appointment right. Okay, I don't know what's going on there. Don't know what's going on. Amy here saying afternoon KG from Fuerteventura. Oh, where is that? I haven't heard of that place. Let me know. And yes, Gavin, Tyler is back at QPR. Yes, he is. Yeah, Freddie, I did read that article about Jack Harrison, and obviously, like I say, we'll talk about him in depth in his own video. Probably it might even be tomorrow, people. So just like I say, keep the notification bell on, and we'll probably go live tomorrow and talk about his new contract then. But I want to keep this on the Crystal Palace preview because obviously this is the second of a huge week game for us this week. A win against Crystal Palace takes us above them. So we can leapfrog them tomorrow on Sunday. Sorry, I thought that this preview was going to be like Friday, but they did the press conference today. Must be because it's the Easter period. So all good, all good. And yeah, Danny, respect to have you mentioning Chris and Kevin Impressa. He certainly did, and we touched on those two yesterday in yesterday's video. And if you haven't checked that one out in regards to if you want to keep Javi Gracia, do you see him being here long term? That's in the previous video, so check that one out. Oh, it's in the Canary Islands. Okay, no problem. No problem. Freddie Mac is saying, will we get a win over Woy this week? I think we do. And you know what? There wasn't much from the press conference today. I've got to be honest, people. It was another very low-key one. The only things that I got from it is that he won't be managing as long as Roy Hodgson. And also that all the players that were available Tuesday will be available again. So we've got no fresh injury worries, new fresh injury worries. And so again, I'm kind of looking at that as that we're not going to have Max Verber and Willie Nanto for these games from the start, possibly. We just don't know, do we? If Nanto was on the bench, he wasn't used against Forest. If he's fit enough to start for me, he comes in, and I'll explain how. But then it also goes against something else that he said, and this was the only other thing I picked up from him today. He was asked about Brendan Aronson and his usage of him because he's used him so much. He started him nearly every game. And what does he see that he brings to the table? And, he essentially said it's his pressing, it's his defensive work for the team. He knows that he's trying too hard to score a goal at this moment in time. So, he wants him to relax on that point, but he uses him for his pressing abilities. So, as you can see, Javi Gracia, they're giving you the reason why he puts Brendan Aronson in that position. I don't know how everyone feels about that, but that's his reasons for using Brendan Aronson at this moment in time. Nigel saying, afternoon, KG, how are we going to get up and running? We may need him this season. Well, I personally would, if Nanto isn't good to go, I would have played him against Palace, Nige. But at this point in time, I don't know if Javi Gracia thinks he's completely ready because we really haven't seen much of Jorginho while Javi's been in charge. Apart from that little cameo versus Arsenal, he seems to be more on the fringes of things. And plus, with Jack Harrison in the form that he's currently in on the right-hand side, it's going to be tough for him to get in at this point. So I think it's just about Jorginho biding his time. And I think that was always the plan at the start anyway when he was signed. Obviously, Rodrigo got that injury against Accrington Stanley, which then, messed it all up and made him have to play a couple of games that he probably wouldn't have if Rodrigo was fully fit. So I think it's going to be the waiting game with Jorginho. But I would say against Palace, And the reasons why I would go for a Nanto in behind Rodrigo up front against Palace, because I feel like we need a bit of fluidity up front, a bit more agility in that area. Because much like Forest people, Palace are going to come and defend real bad. And if you thought Nottingham Forest sat back, Palace are going to make it look like Forest were on the attack in the game, because Palace will set up strict banks, but they've got a little bit more athleticism in their team. Easily got more athleticism. Tyreek Mitchell, that's going to be a tougher game for Jack Harrison. He's going to have to be on it. Tuffalo isn't, Tuffalo, I said on the match reaction, he's a championship defender. So, Tyreek Mitchell's the real deal. And Harrison's going to have to be on his game. And obviously, Gahey, Anderson, those are two big guys, but they can be got at, And I think with the movement of other Nanto, Rutter, Rodrigo, I think that they can take them out and move them about, and we can create chances from there. Um, Gail saying it's a masterclass from Javi at the moment. One thing I will say, and it was a fair point. Someone left a comment in regards to the permanent job thing, and it is a decent point. He hasn't beaten anybody big yet, so we've still got a couple of big teams to play. So it will be interesting to see if we can get a positive result. And whereas under Jesse we seem to beat everyone big and couldn't beat anyone small, but he hasn't beaten anyone big. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on as well. Deshaun saying 35 million to sit on the bed. Deshaun, you should be better than this. Deshaun, you've been a member longer. You've been a subscriber to this channel long enough to know what I'm going to say here. Questions need to be answered from the board. I have no doubt he will be a quality player, but if we have 35 million to spend, it should have gone into the first team. He is in the first team. He's just on the fringes. And also the 35 million thing, once again, people, in the Premier League, and this is our 4th year back. It's our 4th year, isn't it? No, it's a third or 4th year, whichever one. You're gonna get players that cost 25 million, 30 million on the bench. You shouldn't be worrying about the cost. The cost is on the club. And yes, I've already said, and I agree with people. If we should have got more of a first team ready player, not prem proven, not that old chestnut, but we should have got somebody who was ready to step up straight away. Where it's clear that Jorginho is being like eased into this thing. So, but yeah, I mean, 35 million sit on the bench. At some point during our Premier League tenure, if we stay up multiple years, we'll probably have a 45 million player on the bench. It's not unusual. Shout out to Tom Jones. JC is saying Palace won't be easy. They're a good team. Will be organised under Roy, and they did batter Leicester, but confidence will be high at Elland Road and will be bouncing. I think we will win, and that's where I'm going with it, Jay. We have to use the momentum that we've got after that Forest game. The feel-good factor, by the way, is through the roof. It's amazing what 3 points can do. And this being another home game, I think if it was away at Palace, we'd probably be looking at it a little bit more cautiously. But I think the onus will be on us. We will have more of the ball in this game, again, much like Forest. And I think it is more than possible to get the win. But you're right, it is going to be tougher. I look at Decore, who I've championed a lot on this channel. He's so solid in that midfield, and he's got a good pass on him, and he will get stuck in. It's going to be a much more difficult proposition for Rucker and McKennie. I'm not sure. You see the time that Rucker was getting on the ball against Forest. I don't know if he's going to get that against Palace. We'll have to wait and see. So Harry saying we will start quick on Sunday. I have no doubt about that. Just hope we can control it if we go 1-0 up early. Yeah. And Amy here saying go for the jugular. Yeah, I think it's going to be easier said than done to go for the jugular. I would love them to do it though, Amy. That would be magnificent. But you're talking about, this is a huge game. Like both teams will be looking at this game thinking that they can get the 3 points from it for various different ways. I can see Palace going to try and get us on the counter and hit us with the 1-2 punch, and it is possible. You've seen, I'm talking about their weaknesses. Zaha's going to be out for this game, which is pretty big. But down our right, Luke Ayling, if he's going to be playing again, Javi Gracia, is he going to stick with him, or is he going to give Rasmus a shot? I think he's going to stick with Ayling. And on that point, we've got to make sure that he's got to make sure that he's on it this weekend. Too many mistakes from him lately, and he keeps on getting starts for me. And that does not bug me, but it does. It doesn't sit right with me that he does get to make so many mistakes and keep starting, where we're seeing attackers in our team that have a fairly quiet game and they drop for the next game. I don't like that kind of thing. Don't like that seniority in football. Especially when they're not star players. I always understand when it's a star player, but when it's someone like Luke Ayling who's just here on seniority merit, not for me. So he needs to make sure that he has a good game in this one, and he's got a chance to. He's got a chance. But Crystal Palace will be attacking our right hand side, no doubt about it. I'm sure of it. But likewise for them, we can attack theirs. They're either going to have Nathaniel Klein or Joel Ward at right back. You know, Sinistera starts again. That should be party time for him. Should be party time for him. Um, Yeah, what's it? Harry saying here, Elland Road will be bounced, so we just need to control it. We'll be, will no be too comfort, will not be too confident as a team. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Uh, Jack Simpson saying, have he dropped Cooper though? Maybe Luke is all we've got. He's not all we've got though, is it? It's not a great other option in Rasmus. I've got to say, it's like having an option of being poisoned or stabbed, isn't it? But at this point in time, Luke Ayling is rotten in form. He's defensively a liability, and he's somebody that the opposition are actively targeting. It's not a coincidence. So, do you stick with him, or do you go to Rasmus, who's doing the best that he can in the limited time that he's getting, and see if he's improved a bit since the last time we saw him having a regular run? Because obviously, I'm not going to try and rewrite history. That regular run was very, very poor from Rasmus. It was bordering on awful, wasn't it? But at this point in time, it's a lesser of two evils. I don't know. At this point in time, we just know. Let's just categorize it as it is. Our right hand side is our weak point. So it's a coin flip, isn't it? It's a coin flip. Freddie, I'd rather be poisoned. Tremendous. Gail as well saying Strout back to his best. And that's another thing as well. Great to see Strout back in that kind of mold that he was against Forest. That was the Pascal that I know and love. And he's going to have to be on it. Look, Edouard and Mateta are two, like, they're crap. They're crap strikers, but they do move about a bit. They've got good physicality to them. They can make it difficult. And listen, and we know we're not you know immune to the first shot of an opposition takes that goes in. It happens, doesn't it? It's happened a few occasions this season, and we are bound to give certain players a boost in their stats. That's just what we do at this point in time. But Strauker's got to be on it. Robin Cocker's got to be on it if they're both playing together again, barring no Verbo. Um, but it's gonna be a much different proposition against either Mateta or Edouard. Uh, Thomas here saying, doubt will change a winning team. Yeah, there is that as well. It was so good overall, wasn't it? But I would make some changes, man. But I trust Javi on this one. If he wants to play Bamford again, I'll go with it. The only thing for me is that I just feel like we need more in behind. All this stopping the ball and holding onto it or making it bounce off you without penetrating the defense. Pause. It doesn't do nothing for me, especially against this Palace team that will probably have two blocks at the back. Freddie asking here, KG, would you start Rodrigo, play our best from the off? Yeah, I would. There's so many times in the starting lineups. I've already said a few times. You got to trust Javi at this point overall. But we start with some of our better players on the bench, and if Rodrigo is fully fit, he gets back in straight away. There's no way that he should be benched if he's fully fit and Bamford's starting. It doesn't make any sense to me. Bamford hasn't done near enough to command the starter spot in this team. And that's why I say if you're going to have Rodrigo, I'd play Nanto behind. I'd give Nanto a try behind if Nanto is fully fit. But at this point in time, it looks like it probably will be Bamford again. Hopefully he does something. That's all we can do, people. If he's going to start, hopefully he does something. Hopefully he can make the ball stick to him this time. But if he was having, not to say that just because he had trouble against Niakate and Felipe, he's going to have trouble against Gahey and Anderson, but they're going to be all over him, man. These are two big physical centre backs. He's going to have to be on his A game. We'll see. Nate here saying no, that Javi should mix it up. I mean, listen. I mean, for the people that say you shouldn't change a winning team, and that's cool. Would you make any changes to this team overall? I mean, bearing in mind as well, I've already taken out the fact that Aronson's going to be benched after what he said today. I think he just appreciates the effort and defensive work that Aronson does. So I think that Aronson's probably going to stay starting as well. Manjit saying Bamford needs to score soon if he starts. Katrina saying we need goals and Paddy is lacking in them. Yeah. Theo saying none to up top. I wouldn't put Willie up top. I really wouldn't. I think he's better in behind. I think he's going to be better coming off the wing or just behind. And the football pitch it's very it's different playing up front than it is running at people, and we see that. You only have to look at, say, Marcus Rashford. I know some of you won't like that, but they tried to put him up front because he was in good goal scoring form, but he needs that space to run at people, and it's all about angle, it's all about positional awareness. It's a different intelligence in each position, and I don't know if Nanto can do that just yet. If anyone could play up front, if you want a different option, it's Sinistera. Sinistera sometimes plays up front for Colombia as well, so he could be an option as a striker. Yeah, yeah, Theo, pause on that one, yeah. Say no more, say no more. Nydia. I'm just going to say Nydia. We won a match, but it wasn't perfect. Changes should always be considered, and I'm in full agreement with that. Because as much as there were so many good performances and buzzing for so many good performances, some of the best performances of the Leeds career so far, like McKennie, Rucker, Strout back to his best, Harrison full of confidence right now, Sinistera just sourcing away. There was a couple of performances that did stand out as, ugh, maybe we could do a bit better there. You know what I mean? And against a better team, maybe it wouldn't have gone so smoothly as it did. And that's what we've got to consider, because Palace are a better team than Forest, has to be said. David here just saying in regards to a Bamford Plus, he does a good job holding up, but I agree. Let's hope he scores too. I mean, yeah, I've always said that his hold up game is pretty decent. I'm not saying he's Olivier Giroud, just before anyone gets carried away, but it wasn't holding it up against Forest. It wasn't happening, people. I don't know. Everyone watches football differently. Maybe you wanted to see it, but he wasn't holding it up very well. Felipe and Nakate had him. They had him in their hands. And when he did get put through, remember that one when Rocker put him through? He couldn't get away from him. It looked like he was running in treacle. It's very painful to watch. I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest. It's very painful to watch sometimes. Cloudy Bright saying, I can't understand why a manager wouldn't always play his best 11. It's tactics, isn't it, Cloudy Bright? It's different tactics for different ways. Once again, some of the most successful managers, Jose Mourinho as well, sometimes he'll leave out a key player depending on the opponent. Remember always, and Arsene Wenger too, but for Arsenal, whenever they go away to Stoke, he'd always set up a little bit differently and leave out a couple of more of their ball players and put in a bit more grit. Sometimes it's just different tactics for different games. But I'm with you. Sometimes I look at our bench and I see Rodrigo, I see Nanto. I'm like, oh man, I wish they were starting. You know what I mean? But he's getting the results at the moment, people. So we can't really argue too much. Not too much. A little bit though. Cade here asking for easy 3 points on Sunday. I would love easy. We got easy 3 points on Tuesday. Forest were absolutely awful, weren't they? But we made them look awful at the same time. Let's not take any credit away from us. You know what I mean? We made them look awful. But imagine that, another just simple 3 points, and then we're above Palace. We're in a nice points position. It'll be wonderful. It'll be wonderful. James here saying Rutter behind Rodrigo for me. I would definitely experiment with that if Nanto's not fit. Uh, Glenn here just saying, why is Fopo not getting the appreciation as much as others? Is it because there were so many players to choose from? I thought he was excellent against Forest. Yeah, I gave him his full credit on the match reaction and stuck up for him a lot just because of what Paul Robinson was trying to, that propaganda, what Paul Robinson was trying to get out about Fopo. Oh, he's got no sense. He's just so lackadaisical in the final third. He hasn't got it. Meanwhile, Ayling's over the other side stinking up the joint and he's not saying a word. But that's just how it is, people. That's just how it is. Once people get a certain thing in their head, they don't deviate from it, man. They don't deviate from it. But Firpo has been brilliant, and I expect him to be just as good in this game. He's one of the first names on the team sheet now. Crazy, isn't it? But that's how football can change. Football can change at a dime. All it takes is the right manager, a turn of form, bit of confidence, injury-free run, and sometimes you get that. And Furpo is doing his business right now. Z Gold, you know what? I might have to time you out for this. I might have to time you out for this, Z. Would I would be all in for Dwight McNeil this summer? Ooh, ooh, mm, mm. Would you, KG? Well, the answer to that simply is no. No, no, no. I don't know what Everton were thinking spending 20 million on him from Burnley. The guy would let me tell you something if you don't remember. Towards the end of the season when Burnley were playing under Sean Dyche, he was being benched for Aaron Lennon. Okay. That tells you everything you need to know. And besides, anyway, Dwight McNeil, he doesn't do anything, people. He's one of the most basic footballers in the league. He's one of those that have just got a lot of hype because he's young and English, but he's terrible. He don't score, he don't create, he can barely cross a ball. Nah. And who does he come in over? Certainly not Jack in this form. Certainly not over Sinistera, Nanto. He'd be sweeping the changing rooms, man. Nah. Oh man. Oh boy. Oh yes, Gail mentioning this. I was going to say as well. The midweek games this week have all gone in our favor, haven't they? That's another thing to say. Just before we go into score predictions, West Ham getting absolutely obliterated by Newcastle. I mean, easy money, wasn't it? And they're keeping boys. You know, Forest and West Ham both suffering like pretty big defeats this week overall, and they're both keeping their managers. I think it's all these kind of things are just key, aren't they? They're just so key. Um, Obviously, as well, just to get it out the way without stating the obvious, Eze, Elise, danger men on the ball, off the ball runs, set pieces have to be wary of those and not concede silly free kicks in a shooting area because Elise will whip that one in or Eze on the other side. So let's just play sensible like we did against Forest, and we should be okay. Let me just see if there's anything else before we get into score predictions. No, there isn't. There isn't anything else. I have mentioned everything. So yes, Andy, we'll talk about that at the end. James is saying, do you think we should start Ailing still? I don't. I think that is run of forms should say that Rasmus comes in, but again, it's a coin flip, isn't it, between the two? We just have to accept at this point that the right hand side is something that we need to address come the summer. But I would put Rasmus in for this game. It's been a nightmare for Luke. It really has. It's been awful for me. But yeah, listen, let's go. Let's go for score predictions, people. I'm going to give mine straight away because I've had it in mind since, and I think we're going to repeat against Forest. I think it's going to be a tougher, but it's going to be a 2-1 victory to Leeds United, and we get the 3 points in this one. Let me know. Danny here is saying 2-2 for him. Oh, and he's saying a convincing 2-0. That would be nice, a clean sheet. Frankie here going for the jugular here, 5-1 win to Leeds. Now that would be tremendous. That would be tremendous. 1-0 to Willow. 3-1 for Tom. Yep. Karen saying a 2-1 Leeds win. Theo trying to double dip here with a 1-0 win or 1-1 draw. I appreciate that. Ian here 2-1, but I can see a draw. So yeah, a lot of more positive ones for Leeds United, and obviously, get your score predictions in the comments below as well, just to lock that one in. Wait a minute, Lalo here though, 3-2 to Palace. If we can see 3 to Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace, then questions will need to be answered. 100%. Cade here going for a 4-0 Leeds Rodrigo masterclass. Yeah, I hope he starts, man. He deserves it. You don't score 11 league goals and get us out of the mud and keep us in games the way he has to be benched by Bamford. I'm sorry. You just don't. We've been asking for Rodrigo to step up for years. He finally does it. His reward can't be to hold the bench. No way. And Gavin here saying Harrison Brace to celebrate the new deal. And listen, like I said at the start, if you hadn't heard from the start, Harrison does look like he's going to sign a new contract, but I'm going to do that in a separate video, people. So, because I want everyone's opinions and comments to be on that video, because opinions about Jack Harrison change like the wind. So I'll be interested to see what you're saying. But yeah, and just before we end here, we're done with the preview. White and Peacock Andy saying your thoughts on Lampard. It when I say about people having certain entitlements and privileges, Frank Lampard is the poster boy for that. The fact that he's gone back to Chelsea as caretaker manager is shocking. There's not a lot of things that are shocking, but Frank Lampard, for what he's done so far, he should be waiting for Peterborough, Rotherham. He should be waiting for Leighton Orient to be, have a vacant spot for their manager's job. He shouldn't be back in the Prem. But it's amazing, isn't it, what certain connections, your name, the weight of your name can hold, and you get positions like this. Crazy, absolutely crazy, and it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? It's an easy one for me. From looking at it from a Chelsea side, it's easy, isn't it? They're having a terrible season overall. This just makes some of the fans, the passion merchant fans, happy again that Frank Lampard, club legend, is back. So I get it from a PR standpoint, 100%. But the fact that he's getting a position in the Premier League for me it's disgusting. The guy's done nothing at managerial level to even warrant a second shot at Chelsea. And by the way, as well, he's got a second shot at Chelsea while they're still in the Champions League. Granted, they got Real Madrid, but he's got it. It's failing upwards, isn't it? It's amazing how it goes for some people, but it also gives you a big explanation on why he is the way he is, in the way that it's always everyone else's fault and never his, because he keeps on being handed stuff. It's been like that since he was a teenager, isn't it? From when Harry Redknapp was at West Ham, broke him through. He's had it easy his whole career, and it's carried on in his managerial career. So it doesn't surprise me in that way, but it's shocking that he is getting another shot in the Premier League. Amazing. Um, Yeah, I mean, Harry, yeah, stills a living as a manager gives us all hope. Yeah, anything is possible, people. Well, it depends on it, but anything is possible. Never give up on your dreams, man. Never give up. But listen, people, that is the Leeds United Crystal Palace preview. Like I say, once the Jack Harrison deal is signed, let me just check something quickly, just in case, because they do announce stuff, but I'm not going to do it on this video regardless. EA Sports. No, that's not it. Yeah, once that is signed, and we'll come back with a new video, and we'll give our thoughts and feelings about Jack Harrison's new deal, and that probably will be tomorrow or Saturday, depending on when they officially get all the signing videos and everything else out. So yeah, listen, people, drop me score predictions below. Please like the video. Best way to help the channel, and yeah, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one, people. Peace out.